Hey guys, Northeast Survival and Preparedness. Last week I did 4 days in the Adirondacks doing a 22-mile backpacking trip. 22, 23, who knows. But I was putting some of my gear away, and I wanted to show you some of the stuff I carry in my pack. Now, we're not talking about like sleeping bag and all that stuff or backpack. I'm talking about the little things, the doodads, the small little things that you put in your pack as extras. So essentially, this is everything I brought minus clothing, food, water, and bedding. So I want to go through and show you what I would typically bring for like kind of a 4-day backpacking trip, and let you get a look and kind of see what I do and why. So we'll start out. First of all, I bring a small first aid kit. One of these little Kugelins Trek ones. Of course, it doesn't have any of the original stuff in it. I've really modified it quite a bit. As you can see in the back here is my compass. And why I do that is I do have a compass on my keychain, but I want to make sure I have a backup and that I always have it with me and I don't like drop it or lose it. So I keep it in with the med kit. But this is real simple, guys. There's a sewing kit in here, some moleskin, some band-aids, some antiseptic, some medical tape, stuff like that. Very simple. Weighs just a couple ounces. I could definitely go lighter, but I wasn't going for an ultralight trip. I brought this Gerber Icon, which I was not a fan of, but when I'm backpacking, lots of times I like a bigger pocket knife, and this is a good one to put inside your pack, to wrap up with the rest of your stuff, because it does have issues with retention. It does. You can see it shakes a little bit loose, so I don't like keeping it in the pocket. So I actually had this in one of the small pockets of my backpack as a large folder, just a beater, something I don't mind using hard and beating the crap out of on the trail. Little tiny thing of bug spray. Guys, I very, very, very rarely use bug spray in the woods. I honestly feel like it attracts more mosquitoes and bugs than it gets rid of. But, sometimes you just get something like bugs just nagging you in one spot, like behind your ears or along your hat or something like that. And it's just nice to have a little bit, just enough to take the edge off while you're hiking. So I do bring a little tiny one. These are like one of these little Coleman DEET ones, 100% max. Rope. I know everybody and their brother brings paracord, not me. Paracord's big, heavy, and bulky. I actually bring this like nylon line. It's actually very strong. It's you can use a lot of it, so you can actually use a ton of it. You never have to worry. It's strong enough to hold up my food bag. It's strong enough to hold a tarp. I've used it in some pretty nasty thunderstorms to hold tarps and tent stakes and all that. So I really like it. And you can have a lot more than you can have paracord. So I do tend to bring just like this nylon rope. It might be polyester, I don't know. It's probably like Home Depot, a couple of bucks. There's probably like 1,000 foot on there originally. It's probably down to a few hundred now, but I typically bring that set of paracord for that. Bic lighter is always a must-have. Always want to make sure it's a working Bic too. How those things are. This little folding saw. This is one I got from Home Depot. It's a Fisker's brand. I do like it because it has a lock on it, where a lot of those cheapo ones don't lock, and it's actually got a really good blade to it. A lot of these you can see it's got a little bend to it, but this one is actually about a year or two old, and it's still in great shape. And as you can see, it's held in with a screw and a nut, so it's actually really high quality. A lot of these are really, really cheap, but I really enjoy it. It's heavier, but you can process a lot more wood with this than you can one of those cheapo ones, so I do like it. Retention on it's real good, and plus it locks good. It's really, that lock is really important to me. Whoops, we're throwing stuff everywhere. We'll get this out of the way and we'll look at this. This little UCO flashlight. Love this thing. I use this thing all the time. It's great for backpacking because it does have that option to use it as a lantern. And so I do like, I was in my hammock this last trip, and I was able to hang this from the hammock, so I was able to, whenever I needed the light, just reach up and hit this button. And instead of it being a bright flashlight beam, I was able to have a nice gentle light inside the hammock if I wanted to read at night or something like that. So I do bring this sucker quite a bit. This is actually one of the better investments in a flashlight in a long time. It's actually real durable, it's held up well, and really enjoy it. So headlamp, of course, if you're going to be out there, you do need to be hands-free. This is one of those cheapo eBay ones. Battery's been in this for like a year and a half and it's still going strong. So I do always bring 2 flashlights, guys. It's a rule of mine in the woods. I typically bring a flashlight and a headlamp. I really like the headlamp to be able to be hands-free. If you gotta, I hate to take it, but if you gotta take a dump in the night and you're trying to hold a flashlight to look to see if your ass is clean when you're wiping your ass, it is a pain in the neck. I'm telling you, headlamp, you definitely want one in the woods. I know, too much information, guys, but taking a dump at night, yeah, you want a headlamp. A little package of super glue. I just buy these at the dollar store and I throw them in my backpacks and you just puncture them and go. And these are great for if you get any injuries. They work as band-aids. You can fix gear with them. I always keep a couple of these little tiny tubes around. We got some re-rolled duct tape, very important. And there it is. This is re-rolled electrical tape, same idea, just re-rolled. I do like the electrical tape a little better than the duct tape, because a lot of times you don't need the duct tape. This might be something, say if you're using a tool and it's got a rough grip to it and it's ripping up your hands, you can use this to kind of wrap the handle real quick, or put this, say you pick up a walking stick or something like that, you can wrap the handle, just a little bit. I use it for mostly handle wraps, or if I have a band-aid. I don't like to use duct tape on band-aids. I like this a little better, so to hold on a band-aid or something like that. So for how little it is, it's good to have. A couple of extra batteries for my headlamp, because it was those batteries have been in it forever. Nail clippers, guys. When you're backpacking, nail clippers are almost like a must-have. And not only that, but they're a great item to have in survival kits as well. When you're out there and you're hiking, your feet are going to get damp. Your toenails grow like 10 times quicker. It seems like you could leave for a trip and your toenails are nice and cut, and by the time you get where you're going, your toenails already need to be cut again. So I always take one of these little toenail clippers and keep them, because even if you have like an injury or you stub your toe and say you rip your toenail or something gruesome like that, you want to have a pair of toenail clippers so you can clip that down so you're not having some ragged toenail catching on your sock and ripping your foot. Ugh. It's a good idea to have. Just one of these little cheap ones, the tiny little ones. You get it like the checkout line at like Walmart. Great idea to have. You can also use these if you're fishing, as part of your fishing kit, because they're great for cutting line and all that. So that way you're not pulling out your knife every 5 minutes. You can put these on like a little necklace or something and use them to, cut fishing line or rope. You can even cut that little polyester rope with this if you have to. The batteries for the headlamp, just extra. And then, of course, my personals bag. I was bringing one of these cheap little antibacterial wipes. I make sure they're antibacterial. That way when I'm messing around in the water, they will kill any viruses or bacteria that are in the water, or germs from going to the bathroom. One of the things I have learned from being a backpacker is that most people who get some kind of backcountry illness actually get it from poor hygiene, not from the water. Typically what ends up happening is you go and, here we go again, you take a dump. You're in the woods, you're backpacking, you take a dump, and if you don't have something to clean your hands with, you're carrying all those germs around with you, and you're just going to infect all your gear, and you're going to be using that stuff. And of course you're backpacking, you're going to put your flashlight in your mouth, your knife in your mouth, you're going to put things in your mouth to hold them while you're doing other tasks. It's really important to have something easy to use. Lots of times people bring like big things of soap or whatever. No, if you're on the trail and you suddenly have to take a dump, it's good to have these so you can clean your hands, and clean your hands, with an antibacterial wipe. Now, I know a lot of people like to bring alcohol gel, and I actually had some alcohol gel at the beginning of this trip, but I used it all up. So, but like I said, make sure you get the antibacterial ones. TP. Now, what I do is rip out the center piece of cardboard. That way it cuts down a little bit smaller. Now, I didn't use a ton of, and get the rough stuff, guys. I'm telling you, if you get the rough stuff, you get way more toilet paper in a roll than the nice fluffy stuff. And I don't know. That's just what I do when I'm backpacking. As you can see, I didn't use an awful lot on this trip. 4 days, so I didn't know how much I was going to use. Turns out there was actually a couple of privies along the trail that I was able to take advantage of and get some toilet paper out of. So I was actually able to use a lot of this just for starting fires and stuff. Little tiny travel toothbrush and toothpaste. When you run into other people on the trail, there's nothing worse than when you come up to some stranger and they've got dragon breath, because they haven't brushed their teeth in like a week. I always make sure I bring a toothbrush. That way I can keep reasonably clean. And also, that's another thing too, guys. At the end of your day, if you hike and you set up camp, say you are, falling behind on the trail, and you get to your camp, you can actually take kind of like a quickie shower with these wipes. You can get your armpits, your crotch, and clean up. That way you're not getting into your sleeping bag dirty and filthy. So I typically, like if I can't get into the water and clean myself, I will use these at the end of the day just to clean up a little bit. This is a little thing, I actually used some of these to actually put like spices in. Like I bought a whole package of these things. They're like dollar store little things. And this one here has like some antibiotic, it's like a hydrocortisone cream in here. I couldn't find a tiny little to-go thing of hydrocortisone. I like to bring hydrocortisone for bug bites or if you develop any sores on the trail or anything like that. As you can see, I used some of it. A lot of bugs on the trail, so I did use some of that for bug bites. Camp soap. I really should break this down and put it into a smaller thing, but what can I say? I'm lazy. Camp soap's really important for doing your dishes, keeping yourself clean. You want to make sure you're using a good biodegradable, safe soap for the ecosystem out there. You don't want to be harming animals and things like that. So typically what I would do, like when I do my dishes and stuff, guys, I will actually do it, and dump the dishwater in the fire, because there's nothing growing near the fire anyway. So, but same thing when I shower, I don't get in the water and use this stuff. Typically what I'll do is I'll grab, like my water bottle or whatever, and I'll kind of come up on the shore and, jump in the water, get all sudsy, come up on the shore and kind of, rinse as much off as I can with water bottles, because I don't like a ton of this going into the lakes and streams and stuff like that. It's just not good for, the fish and the animals. So I try and keep as much of it out as I can, and I use absolute bare minimum as possible. And that's why a good bandana can also come in handy, because you can kind of just put a little bit on the bandana and clean yourself up with the bandana quite a bit without having to dump this stuff into the water. So there you go, guys. That's just a quick little example of the stuff that was in my backpack on this last trip. It's, like I said, 4 days, but I wasn't alone, so it wasn't, a completely inclusive kit. There was obviously other things I would have in there if I were alone, but those are just the tools and the personal items that I had. Like I said, we're not even talking about sleeping bag, tent, and all that stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed, and hope I gave you a couple of ideas for what you need out on the trail there.